Hi everyone and welcome back to Newegg TV. My name is Paul and today I'm going to be doing an unboxing and overview of this Mini-ITX computer case by Fractal. This is the Node 304. Let's start off with a quick look at the retail box because there is some information here from Fractal. First off, who is this case designed for, or what is their intended use for it? It's a compact computer case, unique and versatile modular interior allows you to adapt it according to your needs and components. You can actually fit up to 6 full-size mechanical hard drives in this case. Whether you want to cool a file server, a quiet home theater PC, or a powerful gaming system, the choice is yours. So any of those use cases for this particular case would be ideal. Of course, it can do any of those with aplomb, but here we have some additional specifications. Dual expansion slots. It supports Mini-ITX as well as DTX motherboards. That's a slightly lesser known form factor, popular with shuttle cases. Space for up to 6 3.5-inch hard drives. Front interface with dual USB 3.0 as well as audio inputs and outputs. Supports graphics cards up to 310 millimeters long, so you can actually build a fairly powerful gaming computer. This case does support really long graphics cards, especially if you remove the third hard drive cage. Compatible with power supplies up to 160 millimeters in length. Full-size ATX power supplies, I should say, by the way. Mini-ITX cases do not often feature support for that. You can also fit CPU coolers up to 165 millimeters tall, so you can even fit the more sizable air coolers in this case as well. Here's the case dimensions: 250 by 210 by 374 millimeters, volume of 19.5 liters. Cooling is handled by two 92 millimeter Silent Series R2 fans up in front for your intakes. Also a single 140 millimeter Silent Series R2 fan in the rear that runs at 1000 RPM. Those are fluid bearing fans, so they should have a really long lifespan, and also they run really quiet. You also have a fan controller for all 3 fans with a 3-step voltage control. We'll finish here as far as the box goes with the exploded view right there with all of the numbered parts listed out also right here. I'm going to go ahead and take this case out of the box. So as you look at your internal packaging, you have some hard styrofoam that is keeping the case protected, which should do a good job, especially if you're going to be transporting the case or shipping it in the retail box after you've done a build in it. Of course, you also get plastic here protecting the exterior of the case as well. We have some documentation, which I'm totally doing a good job of pulling out of there. All right, here's your user's manual right there, as well as some information for contacting Fractal directly. If you have any issues with the case, you can contact them, let them know, and they'll help you out. All right, now this case features Fractal's sort of signature minimalist design. The cases are designed in Sweden, but here on the front, as you can see, you have a simple brushed metal finish on the front cover. You have a very small Fractal Design logo there in the bottom right. You also have a small LED that will light up when the case is on. We can go ahead and get a closer look at the input and outputs that we have on the side right here. So power button right there, simple to push. And then you got 2 USB 3.0 ports sticking out of the side, as well as your headphone and microphone jack. Flipping over to this side, we can see a small vent, and this vent is actually going to be the exhaust point for your power supply, because you're going to position the power supply actually up towards the front of the case. This will allow that air to escape the case and not contaminate the inside with the warm air from the power supply itself. Here in the back you can see the panels held on with 4 black thumb screws. We also see the 140 millimeter pre-installed hydro-bearing fan right there. It also has mounting points for 120 millimeter cooler. So, for example, the closed-loop CPU coolers, such as 120 and 140 millimeter designs, 120 should at least fit. I can't vouch for the 140s right now, but there's at least potential right there since you have mounting points for both. Below the fan, we have our knockout for our inputs and outputs, or the I/O shield from your motherboard. You also have your AC power cable plug right here. This is actually an extension that runs up the side of the case to where your power supply will actually be installed. On the right side here, we can see 2 PCI brackets, and that's going to be your expansion slot. You'll note that you actually have 2 of these, so with a bit of overhang from your Mini-ITX motherboard, you can fit a 2-slot video card in here, and most, or pretty much all of the higher-end video cards are 2-slot these days. You also have a thumb screw here that's helping to keep those PCI brackets locked down. Also right up here at the top is your 3-position fan controller, high, medium, and low. Pretty easy to run that through and switch from the different fan configurations. Here on the side, and you'll notice conveniently positioned near where your video card would be, you have a big wide fan inlet or intake, and this is where most of the cool air most of your fresh air is going to enter the case. Also, if you are installing a long graphics card right here, whether you have a single blower style fan, or whether you have one of the dual fan configurations, you will have plenty of fresh air access for the video card right there, which should help keep the temperatures down. Up here on the front, actually before I talk about the front, let's talk about the bottom. And it looks like we've lost our dust filter. Okay, there it is. So we have a dust filter right here, which simply slides into place on the power supply mount, like so. Just pops over those little catches right there and keeps it in place. Once that is there, your power supply intake, the dust will collect right there. You can easily pop that off to clean it. You also have rubber feet for the case to rest easily on whatever surface you have it on, and also prevent any scratches that might occur. Let's take a look at the front panel here. I just popped that off fairly easily. So you have another grilled area right here, so most of your front fan intake air is going to be coming from the top of the case right here, or via this open slot here at the bottom. On the inside you can see a little panel where your inputs and outputs are connected to. Most of those are actually individual plugs, but you could unmount this little PCB right there if you did need to get into that, or if you did need to, for example, unplug any of these cables for whatever reason. Let's say they're already wired up inside the case, but you want to pull this off completely. Gives you the option at least. Also here on the front, as you can see, we have a fan, another fan filter here for your front fans. Let me just pop that off. Two little plastic clips on either side, and again, that will help you easily pop that off to clear the dust off. And then here at the front, you can see your other two fans that are included with the case, and these are, again, 92mm hydrodynamic bearing fans. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and remove the cover here. I have removed the 4 thumb screws at the back of this case. Let's actually take a look at this housing first off. So this is one of the 3-sided housings you can pop off of the case if you need to clean it out in the future, or of course if you're doing your build. Here is the exhaust vent on this side for your power supply, and then on this side I already showed you the intake area for graphics cards, for example. I did want to show that on this side there's actually some plastic tabs, so you can push it on those. You can actually pop this side panel out, as you can see, which I've kind of done right there. It's slightly unwieldy. Honestly, I feel like you could just pop this off and blow some canned air at it through that way if you really wanted to clean it out. But if you want to give it a thorough cleaning, you can pop that out. I'm not going to do it all the way right now because you got to kind of push on all the little points to get it back in, but it is a handy thought to have that be removable. And then here's a look at the case itself. So as you can see, general layout speaking, ITX or Mini-ITX motherboard fits right up there towards the back of the case, adjacent to the inputs and outputs. Your ATX power supply actually fits in right here, so you can see the bracket towards the back there, and that is where the rear of the power supply would sit, and that is where you would have this little cable, which is still twist tied up. All right, so there's your extension cable right there, so that would simply plug into your power supply, wherever that plug might end up being, and then that routes to the back, so you can actually plug that into the AC adapter, or plug your AC power cord in and plug that into the ball to get power. Now bear in mind, you do have some soft feet down here at the bottom, some noise dampening, vibration dampening feet that the power supply is going to sit on, and then of course that is also positioned directly above that fan intake with the removable fan dust filter. Bear in mind, if you are going to be using a longer video card, especially a 2-slot video card, you will want to pay close attention to the length of your power supply, because the power supply length is, the longer it goes, the more this way it's pushing, and you might eventually run into a conflict with your video card right here. So actually I was cheating a little bit off of Logan's video for this, and he actually recommended a non-modular power supply, so you don't have those cable blocks sticking out the back here. So that's a possibility, or just make sure that the length of your power supply is such that you'll have room for your video card along with that, because this is a very popular case if you're going to go with a Mini-ITX gaming system, due to the layout as well as the ability to install full-length dual-slot graphics cards. Here is one of the 2 cable connectors, the other one's right in here. 3-pin connectors, that is for the 2 92mm front intake fans. They do have a bit of sleeving on the cables as well, as you can see right there. Now you have the option to, of course, plug those directly into your motherboard if your motherboard has pinouts for that. You can also route it back here to your fan controller, which is powered by simply a 4-pin Molex plug. And then you have 3-pin fan leads right there. So that will allow you to plug in all 3 fans that come with the case. Also, and here's another benefit of my cheating off of Logan's video for this one, is that you can actually pop this entire little unit off. So if you decide not to go with the controller switch at the back here, and say, for instance, plug directly into your motherboard, you can simply pop that off, and that will give you a bit of extra space inside the case, which, when you're building in Mini-ITX, is always a nice thing. All right, let's go through all of your inputs and outputs. So here's your typical front panel I/O, power switch, hard drive, and power LEDs. You will note that there is not a reset switch on this particular case. You also have HD audio right there, and I do like that they've gone with HD audio only. No need for that old legacy AC97 audio that nobody ever uses anymore. We also have, oh look, a little combo plug here. So Mini-ITX motherboards, there's a bit less of a selection available than standard ATX. So if you have a Mini-ITX motherboard, for example, that only has a USB 2.0 connector or 2.0 header, you can plug that in, and then your USB ports, which are actually over here, will run at USB 2.0 speeds. Or if you've got the 20-pin connector, you've got that internal header as well. Plug that right into the motherboard, and your USB ports should be up and running. Okay, let's see if I'm missing anything in here. Ah, yes. I haven't talked about the hard drive cages yet. I also haven't talked about accessories, so let me pop this out really quick. We have a little baggie, which is twist tied to the case so it doesn't rattle around inside during shipping and bang up the interior. You've got a few zip ties like that. You have your 4 simple standoffs here for your motherboard Mini-ITX, as Mini-ITX only has 4 mounting points, as well as the 4 screws to go along with that. You have a nice selection of small screws here for drive mounting. And then you also have these spacer screws here. These are also for drive mounting for mechanical drives, as the mechanical drives on this case do have some extra grommets in there for noise, vibration and noise reduction. And let me just pop these off. All right, so here's your modular drive cages. I've totally misplaced my screwdriver. Here it is. And your modular drive cages, you get a total of 3 of them. And you can easily remove these. So again, if you are going to be installing a large video card right here, you remove this single cage here. Each of these cages can hold 2 drives. And actually, I'm reverting back to Logan's video again, but he actually pointed out that you can, for instance, mount an SSD on this side. Or actually, I think what he did was he mounted an SSD on the inside here, and then he went with these wider screws here and mounted a mechanical hard drive on this side. By doing that, he was actually able to fit an extra 3.5-inch drive right there, along with, assuming you would also populate those other drives right there. But you have these nice white accent drive cages. Again, the grommeted mounting points there for the 3.5-inch drives, which is always nice because 3.5-inch drives have moving parts. You also have the Fractal Design logo on the top of each of those. Another nice little accent. And again, 3 of those total gives you mounting points or enough mounting space for up to 6, either 2.5-inch or 3.5-inch drives. And again, 2.5-inch mounting holes right there, 3.5-inch with the grommets. And that's going to wrap it up for this video, guys. Once again, this has been the Fractal Design Node 304 Mini-ITX computer case. I'm Paul with Newegg TV, and if you enjoyed today's video, you can find more on our Newegg TV YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you all next time on Newegg TV.